everyone, I am Supriti Vijay. I am currently a master's student at the Language Technologies Institute, Carnegie Mellon, where I'm doing a master's in the intelligent information system spaces, where I specialize in large language models and the applications of using large language models in different fields. Before this, I was a machine learning engineer back at Adobe India, where I primarily worked on deploying LLMs and creating machine learning solutions for like data issues that existed in regards to deduplication. And I have always been into the space of cybersecurity.
And I just wanted to know, why did you join AI and cybersecurity? And what were the pivotal moments that led you to a career in this field, Supriti?
Yeah, definitely. So I think I should start with my undergrad journey. So I've always been into cybersecurity, especially because it's been like hackers and the entire interest behind cybersecurity has always come from the movies that you've watched back when you were a child. So I've always had a strong interest in cybersecurity, but I think the problem with that was that for the longest of times, I did not have the right direction and like the mentorship to pursue it seriously. I think something that lacks in the field of cybersecurity is because it's such a small space, right? Not a lot of people have the right guidance to move forward with it. So instead, I leaned into the field of something that I was more familiar with, that was like evaluating AI for like social and cultural biases. That's something that I spent a lot of time in my undergrad. And because that path gave me like a solid foundation, I was able to analyze and evaluate model behavior. It could be fairness and its representations, something that I held really close to my heart, that were like biases that were present in LLMs. So when I came to Carnegie Mellon, which obviously had like a strong reputation in cybersecurity given Scilab and like the picoCTFs being hosted here, which is I think the largest competition for CTFs. So I was exposed to like a much more broader landscape. I talked to a lot more people from like diverse fields, and I realized that I could apply my expertise into the security problems that they face into. And I think that segued me into entering the field of cybersecurity that I was like more passionate about. And it kind of showed me how interdisciplinary this entire field was. And it didn't have to be siloed, and like it didn't have to stay siloed where like people were doing manual tasks, but it could be integrated with the foundations that I had built back in my undergrad. So yeah, through like AI Venture Studio, I think that's where I met you, Dani, where I found a way to bridge like my background in LLMs with this focus of like adding the new technology into the field of cybersecurity. And because I've been in the field of like LLMs and the applications where I've utilized machine learning for data solutions, for like software engineering tasks, I realized that cybersecurity was lagging behind, especially in the adoption phase. And I think that's what pushed me, because like being interested in the field from the start and never having the opportunity to, when I met people at CMU, I was able to connect my knowledge in LLMs and connect the fact that we could use these models in order to help reduce a lot of the manual tasks and tedious tasks that are part of security, so that we could use our amazing intelligence as humans in something that's more creative. And yeah, that's what led to the startup I was building as well, which was focused on automating product security and compliance through agents and like language models. So it was just about moving beyond traditional pen testing and like just bringing scalable automation into the entire workflow. And even though I've stepped back from that, the mission has always remained the same. And that's exactly what I'm doing right now, because I'm pursuing it with a team that shares the exact vision, where I see that at Cisco, we're basically building something similar, where I'm using my LLM knowledge in creating foundation models for security. And yeah, that's what my vision was, to like use my knowledge, use my foundation that I've learned back in my undergrad, and not like steer away from it.
So reflecting back on this life journey and your academic professional one as well, what advice would you give to your younger self regarding educational choices and identifying not just the right career paths in AI, but also in cybersecurity?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the advice that I would give my younger self would be, don't wait for like the perfect path to appear. Like, just start with what interests you, but like stay close to all kinds of fields. Now, what I mean by that is that because I did not have clarity and guidance to pursue cybersecurity directly, I followed what I understood better, right? That was language models, social evaluation, something I could relate to. In like right now, when I think about it in hindsight, it wasn't like a detour. It was kind of like building blocks to what I'm achieving right now, like bringing in my LLM knowledge into it. But something that I would like to probably advise my younger self would be like explore broadly, talk to practitioners, talk to people, and like talk to people on LinkedIn if you can't find the right guidance in like the circle that you already have. I think reach out to people. And yeah, I think reach out to people who could probably help, even like give you small resources to begin, but like just don't I think wait for things to appear. I think just go explore by yourself, build upon it. And like I think whatever is like interests you, just dive into it without thinking as much, because I think a lot of us overthink everything. So if you feel like, this may not be the best path forward, we may not take it, right? So I think like, yeah, cybersecurity isn't like, that's what I realized right now, that cybersecurity isn't like a siloed domain. It kind of needs people from AI, it needs people from systems, right? It needs people from policy, and I think even social science. Think about like privacy needs, right? It needs people from all of the fields because it's an interdisciplinary thing. So even if you can get into some other field and you want to switch to cybersecurity or like bring in your expertise into it, there are always chances to do so, even if you feel like you've kind of like gone the wrong path, or you're not following something that you were interested in since like your childhood. But there are always opportunities to like get back into the field. So yeah, it's always about like reiterating to it, and like there is no right path. You will have to forge your own right path.
I really like how you emphasize that cybersecurity is not just about the technical aspect.
Yeah.
There are so many different domains associated with it, and it doesn't matter what field you come from or what your background is. Everybody can contribute to this.
Exactly. I think that's the best part of cybersecurity when it comes to it, right? Because security isn't only about like hacking, isn't that's what I realized after getting into the field, after talking to people, how much they need like people from AI, people from systems and like policy to help shape cybersecurity to what it is. So yeah, couldn't agree with you further.
Going back to the point you made about co-founding HelloSec, what
Yeah.
best practices have you cultivated that have been essential in overcoming certain cybersecurity challenges? And how did you rise above any kind of professional or entrepreneurial challenges associated with a startup?
I think the best part of creating a startup was having that initial goal or mindset to create something of your own. And that is exactly what we did with HelloSec as well. We talked to practitioners, we talked to security engineers, we talked to chief CSOs of different companies and understood their pain points. And something that we really felt was missing, and we saw that a lot of those points were getting repeated, was the fact that how security is such a blocker in everyday product deployments, and how we have to bridge that gap in a way that like everyone would always think about security as something that like delays your product out, because they're not thinking about it right from the start, right? And I think convincing a lot of people that AI could help and like AI could be secure in helping was a bit, I think, was one of the main challenges that we saw. Like while people do believe that AI has come to revolutionize the world and like new technology has come into it, something that people aren't sure about, especially like security people and people who've been in the field of security, is that they don't trust anything, right? We've been taught not to trust anything because like we feel like everything has flaws. Every system could be broken into, which is why the term security comes into. So telling them that AI could give them like access to something that like could like just sweep over the entire web and tell them like what vulnerabilities could exist without them having to double check or cross check or triple check into it, right? Or just like look at their creativity to think about things from a different angle, was I think the most hardest part, like pitching them and like showing them that your your time could be reduced to half. But I think we were able to overcome it when we showed them our product, when we showed them the capabilities of AI to help them and to reduce the fact that things that were taking them like 12 hours or like 13 hours per week, or like actually more than that, because in one product cycle, like in 2 weeks, you at least need like 3 days for just product security testing. That's like a statistic that we picked up. And we realized that it was able to cut it down to just like maybe 3 hours a day, 3 hours a product cycle, I mean. And I think that's the beauty of using technology right in front of you, right? Look at like coding, for example. Like a lot of people would take a long time to code something, and right now with the help of AI, it's not reducing software engineering tasks, but it's creating new opportunities. And that's the same with cybersecurity. It's so understaffed, it's so small in ratio compared to the other fields where I think a lot of people are, that it's very hard for like a small amount of people to take care of such a big product. And that's where AI would step in.
And thank you so much for emphasizing the need to really kind of adopt evolving technologies. And I do get it. Like, we have to kind of strike a balance between privacy as well as certain security issues. But the thing is, we don't want to lag behind in terms of these emerging technologies, which could help, but can also have some sort of vulnerabilities. It's really about finding that balance.
Exactly. And given that agents are coming into it, and like people are going to use, while AI, everyone looks at the good sides of AI, it's very important to emphasize on the bad aspect of things. If we can use AI, hackers could also use AI, right? Could also come up with like new techniques. And how do you like stay ahead of the curve? You also have to use the same technology to like blue team your defense at this point, right? So while we have to use agents, and I think there is like a very beautiful blog by like Nicholas Carlini, about the fact that AI could also be used for security, for like security breaches and vulnerabilities. And if you deploy like an AI agent onto your phone, you're able to extract like new facts, or like, it can basically come up with new facts or steal your data. Or like, I think we've all looked into like deep I think all of the fake videos that have been up online. And yeah, we have to stay ahead of the curve, which is why we have to adopt evolving technologies and like be more, I think, willing to look past our trust boundaries and actually start using technologies to move forward and like use it as a stepping stone to like help increase the security of the products we develop.
Yes, and kind of going along what you've said, Supriti, how do you keep up with new trends in cybersecurity, and what resources do you use?
Right. So something that really helps me is like looking for like keywords on archive, and like coming up with I had built this custom scraper that basically is able to pick up on certain keywords for cybersecurity that I believe really helps me in my day-to-day job. Because right now we're creating, like, Cisco has this foundation security model, which is like open source right now, and we are also releasing like an instruction fine-tuned model for like people to use for compliance threat modeling. So something that I have to always keep in mind is that new attacks that could be possible, something that we could integrate that could help security professionals ease out their jobs. Or like MITRE attacks keeps updating, and CWEs keep updating as well, right? So something that I think really helps is like keeping an eye out for like keywords that could be dropping, or like looking at Twitter. I think a lot of academic papers come over there. So I think there's no other way except like, somehow creating a track of the stuff that you could like read up on, and like the papers that could keep coming, because I think research is the space to be at. New trends are always coming in the research that we publish, and it's important to stay ahead by like reading new papers and like be willing to learn as well.
Yes, and I think that is imperative as a cybersecurity professional. If there's something I've learned from being in this space, is that you always have to be willing to learn and willing to adapt to the times. You never go a day without learning something in cybersecurity. It's something that is constantly evolving, but it also improves your need and want for learning new things. It's really honing that curiosity element.
Totally agree. I think that's because like humans always come up with like creative ways to attack something. I believe humans, like even if we consider humans to be 100% intelligence as of now, they'll always come up because of the essential quality of backtracking that we have. Like if something doesn't work, we're able to backtrack and like be able to find a way forward, especially ethical hackers, white hackers, and like, all of the hackers that exist, right? Because of our innate ability to backtrack and be able to process things, we're always going to be one step ahead of the curve, which is why attacks would always be one step ahead. So coming up, like reading up with like creative ways, like people are like, going about the process could always help us like, pick up on how to defend it or even how to find new attacks to come up with it. So yeah, it's really important to stay updated about all the processes that could exist and like what are the new methods that people are utilizing to like break into your system.
What advice would you offer young women considering a career in STEM or creating a startup?
I think that's a very, very good question because um, I myself am super confused about this all the time, especially being in CMU. Um, I think I think a bit of my perspective has changed being part of CMU. I think before this, I would think about like being part of STEM as like being part of industry. But I believe that this is the right time to go ahead and create your own startup because the ideas are evolving. You have been giving such a beautiful space to learn. You have the internet, you have like such good courses coming up in AI that implementing and finding gaps that you could probably bridge with respect to the pain points that exist is like super essential. And I do understand that creating a startup, like I think this debate has always gone in my head. Like, do I just go forward with like having comfortable money or do I create something of my own where I think I would have to struggle for a couple of years probably to get my startup running and then like there are chances that it could fail. I think that's a constant battle, right? But like having something of your own and like creating and like actually solving real world problems where you're 100% responsible for the same really matters. And I would definitely advise going, if you have the chance, if you have the resources as well, because I do understand everyone has like a different situation, like in terms of family, in terms of like the amount of responsibilities they have. Not everyone can chase being an entrepreneur, but like if you do have the chance, definitely go forward with it because I think there is something satisfying about creating something of your own, calling something your own, and like actually working for your own self, right? Instead of like sharing your profits, so like not even getting like 1/10 of the profits of like something that you're creating. So yeah.
And I think being an entrepreneur is about finding solutions to problems which we don't have any kind of remedy for yet. And
Exactly.
the essence of entrepreneurship is to really chart your own course and kind of be your own boss. You are not beholden to anyone. You can set your own schedule and shape the company in the way you want it. And we're so
Definitely.
fortunate at CMU to have the Tepper School of Business and other resources.
I I can't agree more. I think AI Venture Studio has really helped me understand the importance of creating your own business and has like equipped me with the amount of like skills I require in order to do so. I think I didn't have a lot of knowledge about creating your own business, the amount of steps it takes and the amount of like effort it takes to do something like that. And like the amount of thought you have to give with surrounding yourself with people who can help you build and like just people that you could vibe with and brainstorm with is like super important. And I think CMU does equip you with that skills and like with the right environment to move forward with. So yeah.
What resources did you use from CMU, like Tepper, Schwartz Center? What did you and
Oh,
your co-founder use?
so we use Schwartz Center. So Schwartz Center allows you to create your startup within their wing. They give you free access to Microsoft Startup, which basically gives you $5,000 of OpenAI credits and about $15,000 of AWS credits, and which is a lot. To be honest, at least like to start your business, to get you through the door. And then it has a lot of partnerships as well, which I think Schwartz Center allows you to get. It gives you an area where you could brainstorm with other founders, gives you a network, which is quite similar to YC, but like CMU network of people you could probably get to test your entire platform. And it gives you access to mentors, which is super important, and guidance with like Tepper School professors who could probably give you an edge over the other companies and could tell you the difference between like pricing your product right, or could tell you how to present and pitch yourself, could give you feedback on the fly, right, could make up time. I think I'm super grateful to my professors, Adam, as well as Sean, to like who have given me a lot of like advice on how I could pitch myself in the best way possible, have given me the right amount of environment that I needed to understand how I could use AI as my co-founder, as well as understand about like finding the right amount of people, understanding how to divide equity, right? So I think CMU is like the most perfect place to like begin your own entrepreneurship journey.
What really stood out to me, what you just said, Supriti, was how it can be quite challenging to get that mentorship as well as really starting your own business. In your experience, what challenges do women face in STEM, cybersecurity, and startups? How can organizations better support them as well?
Right. So I think a couple of problems that women usually face, or something that I am not sure if I can comment on all women, but something that I have mostly faced is like a connection towards real world applications, right? You have a lot of, especially women in STEM, face that because they're always being in a male dominated environment is a bit difficult, especially right now. Back at Cisco, I think we have very few women if we count it compared to men, right? And while that does give me an environment to speak up for myself, sometimes it kind of also overshadows the fact that because I don't feel comfortable in the environment, like maybe in a male dominated field, I may not speak up as much, right? Something that people could do, especially like be an ally to maybe the like a gender that is less represented, right? Be an ally, like ask people constantly like whether or not they're communicating, whether or not they have ideas, because sometimes it's not about being shy for women, it's more about being comfortable in an environment, feeling comfortable in an environment to speak up. I think I face that a lot, not like right now because I think I have really good people surrounding me back at Cisco who ask me my opinions. But I have seen that in my prior experiences where I've been shut down, where people haven't allowed me to speak in a room because like they've just been like vibing and having like a boys talk amongst themselves, right? That's something that I feel like women usually feel also. They don't feel comfortable to speak up. They don't feel comfortable to just voice out their opinions because like people are just shutting them down, right? So something that I think because I faced it, I can like speak really passionately about, and I feel like organizations could definitely have like a training center about like allowing people to be considerate about other genders and minorities that could probably exist, right? And not even minorities, just being considerate to other human beings and like asking their opinions, right? Being more politer and like not like I think just shunning another gender or like another minority for the same. But an advice I would definitely give women is that no matter what the circumstances, always stand up for yourself. Like, go forward with your opinions, even if you feel like someone is definitely shunning you out, is not allowing you to speak. Use your emotions, use your expressions, definitely voice out everything that you want to say. Do not let it suck you from inside. So yeah, that's one of the main advices, or something like main advices I would like to give to women in STEM.
I agree with your point on allyship and mentorship. Those are so underrated and critical in order to empower women in STEM. So often, when you're in a male-dominated field, like you said, Supriti, you can feel undersupported, not valued. So having those people who are in support of you can really uplift those voices that otherwise would have gone unheard.
Definitely. I think I think not recently, but a year ago, talking to other women in this field of cybersecurity. And I think something that we realized was that a lot of the women face the same problems together. I would even say that if you can find any mentor who's a woman, or even if you can't, if there is some organization that could come together where like women in cybersecurity, women together could support each other, you would realize about 90% of the problems that you face is also faced by another woman, which is stunning. So if you would just have some other support of like women around you, which I know all women would love to do, to be honest, to just be there for someone else to ensure that they don't face the same issues that you did, that would just be great. So I would just like be willing to like even support someone else in their journey, because like I could give in like my experiences or like something that I felt was the right thing to do if they were facing probably. So some kind of support system for like women in this field.
And finally, based on your experience, what skills and mindsets do you think are essential for women aiming for leadership roles in AI and cybersecurity?
So I think a couple of skills that I would say are like important for this field would be staying up to date with all kinds of knowledge related to the field, like the incoming trends that are coming, and like be up to date with, I think just move be up to date with not only your field but like interdisciplinary fields. I think that's where a lot of the real challenges come up with, because you're so concentrated in the field that you're working in, you do not see about like the policies that could be arising in, or like how privacy could be impacting your field, or how any social science could be impacting your field. So I think that is also something that I believe that people should have, like, even if you can't do a lot of like your even if you can't keep up with everything, it's important to just be aware of like things that are happening in other fields, right? And something else that I would just say would be stand up for yourself. It's not an easy path. No one expects you to not make mistakes as well. So totally be I think we should definitely normalize making mistakes and like learning from it, because I think as women, or we are like, because of how society is like formed and how society usually operates, we are asked to be perfectionists in a way that like we want to do everything to a, a bit of perfection. We don't want to make any mistakes because people are harsh at us, especially when we make mistakes. No one is like supportive about that. So I would say it's totally all right. Surround yourself with a support system, and definitely just just work hard. That is definitely the mantra for like everything that you do in life. And don't shy away if you need any help. I'm pretty sure there'll be someone or the other who's willing to like de- to let you and like support you in the process. And if you can't find someone in your immediate circle, reach out, find the right mentors, even find people on LinkedIn, scroll through a lot of these feeds. I'm sure there'll be someone who can support you through the entire matter.
If there's something that I wanted to re-emphasize is I really like how you touched upon the need to check other fields that are adjacent to cybersecurity. I think often we think that cybersecurity is just about software technology, when really it involves every facet of society in a way.
Right.
There's data breaches happening at hospitals, banks, and other cybersecurity incidents occurring all the
Exactly.
time. So it's imperative to be able to connect the cybersecurity concepts with what's going on in other fields. And this
I can't agree more. Totally agree with that.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much again, Supriti, for agreeing to this conversation interview, and keep on doing the great work that you're doing at Cisco, CMU, and wherever the future takes you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Danny, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to other women in the field. Although I don't think I'm inspiring them enough, but or I am an inspiration yet. But thank you so much for giving me an opportunity here, and thank you for having me.
And it's so important to get a student aspect as well. You're just at the beginning of your journey, and you can also help those who are going to be in our shoes in a few years, a few months, whatever it may be. Don't worry, girl, you're an inspiration as well.
Yeah, I'm so glad we can support each other here.
Absolutely. That's what women empowerment is all about.